Hi, everybody. Today we're here to answer the question that things you know that you may not know that you don't know. I know that sounds pretty complicated, doesn't it? I'm Pamela D Wilson. My website is PamelaDWilson.com. On there, helpful information for caregivers and aging adults. This subject came up because a caregiver said, my elderly parent with Alzheimer's or dementia doesn't realize that they keep repeating the same information, and it drives me crazy. What can I do? Well, this takes me to the subject of how to get elderly parents to accept help, or how to get caregivers to accept help. In those situations, where do you fall? Are you a caregiver who wants to just vent and complain? Or are you a caregiver who wants solutions and who's really curious about finding out what you might be able to do, or even considering what you don't know? The way that our minds think about things, and if you hear sawing in the background, one of my neighbors is sawing some planks here. But the way that our mind works is the way that we approach the world. What we see and hear shapes our preferences. It shapes the way that we think. It's kind of like the world that we see is the world that we want to see. And sometimes we don't consider that there is another world out there, or even that there is another way to think about things out there. So, for example, let's say that you have an elderly parent and you're looking for solutions, but you think that you know everything, but you're still asking people. And when you ask those people and they give you suggestions, you're like, I already knew that, or, somebody I know knows this. And so you keep discounting those solutions. But when we actually get curious about something, when we're looking for a better way, because maybe we've been doing the same old thing, the same old way, and we keep getting the same responses. So maybe something that you were worried about 6 months ago is still a problem today. And unless you choose to think differently, 6 months from now, you're going to be in exactly the same place. So how do we as caregivers realize what we don't know that we don't know? It's because we decide to be curious. So for an example, I had a client years ago who had a swallowing issue, and the doctor said, well, that's just the way that it's going to be. And I said, well, no, doctor, aren't you aware of this treatment called Vital Stem, which can actually help people who have swallowing problems swallow? Now, you would think a doctor would know that, but not all doctors specialize in different types of medicine. So there are doctors out there that you may be going to see today who tell you that there's no solution for a problem that you're bringing up. Yet another doctor, another specialist has the solution. This is part of recognizing what we don't know that we don't know, and what other people know that we don't know. As caregivers, we have to take that step to be willing to learn, be willing to be open-minded, and to listen to the suggestions of others, rather than just letting our minds close shut and say, that doesn't apply to me, that can't possibly be right, this woman is crazy, or that man is crazy. There's also a term that relates to this in the perspective of Alzheimer's and dementia and mental illness, and it's called anosognosia, and you can look it up. It really does mean we don't know what we don't know. Your elderly parent who repeats something 100 times, they don't realize that they're repeating. They don't realize that their behaviors are repetitive and that you as the caregiver may be frustrated. This is the part of we don't realize what we don't know. More information for caregivers and aging adults is on my website at PamelaDWilson.com. What I can encourage all caregivers and really all people to do in life is to realize with anything, there are things that we don't know that we don't know. Be curious, explore, find information, join support groups, take online classes, listen to my radio show every Wednesday night. I have the privilege of speaking with the most intelligent and amazing doctors and professors from a lot of universities around the country and around the world who even stretch my brain, and that is something that I love. I love to learn. I'm Pamela D Wilson. Check out my website, PamelaDWilson.com. A lot of helpful information for caregivers and tips to help you realize, to be more curious, and to learn what you don't know that you don't know. Have a fabulous day today. I'll see you again soon in another video.